Hey guys, in this video I want to talk to you about the kinds of adverbs. But before I talk to you about the kinds of adverbs, it's important that I talk to you about, that I remind you that adverbs can modify three different parts of a speech. Adverbs can modify verbs, they can modify adjectives, and they can modify other adverbs. Having said that, for me, the most important function that an adverb can perform is to modify a verb, because in doing so we are going to enrich the meaning of said verb. Take for example the verb eat. If I can describe the verb eat in a better way, then that is going to impact my reader's experience or my listener's experience, right? So I can say, for example, eat ravenously, like hungrily, like an animal, right? You don't pay attention to manners, you just eat like you haven't eaten in a long time. So eat ravenously, eat slowly, eat carefully, eat furiously even, right? Of course, and it might be a better idea to use specific verbs instead of using the basic, to put it that way, the basic verb plus an adverb, to use specific verbs. So I could use the verb devour, wolf down, or like when you're not really hungry and you are, feeling like depressed or sad or something and you don't want to eat, you say pick at food. Why are you just picking at your food, right? So this is not a composition class, of course, but it helps to know these issues. You can do much better. You can do a much better work in your writing if you use specific words. Now, I want you to check these examples. Liliana forgets quickly what she studies in class. I have the word quickly. This is an adverb that expresses a relation in time, and it is modifying the verb forgets. The CEOs have finally decided to merge their companies. In this case, the word finally is establishing a relation of time with the verb have decided, right? Have decided. I've always liked very hot cocoa. Here we have the adverb very modifying hot, and Jonas has accepted very adamantly. I don't like much the use of an adverb modifying an adjective and another adverb not because it's wrong, but because we overuse this feature of the language. We overuse adverbs of degree, and what happens is that they end up transmitting the impact they are supposed to transmit. I am especially against the use of very in a writing, because we overuse very so much. And I will recommend that whenever you are writing the word very, that you take a moment to decide if you really want to use that word, if that word needs to be there. I don't know, I think it's partly our fault as teachers that we encourage the use of very too much. I don't know, possibly. Now, there are different ways in which we classify adverbs, guys, and here I am providing a list. This is just to show you examples of kinds of adverbs. We have adverbs of manner, adverbs of place, adverbs of time, of frequency, of certainty, of degree, which we were just talking about a couple seconds ago, adverbs of negation and affirmation, and conjunctive adverbs. Now you may ask, hey teacher, are those all the kinds of adverbs there are? No, we have more adverbs. For example, we have adverbs of cause, adverbs of condition, adverbs of contrast. So why am I not including those here? Because this list that I am showing you refer to one-word adverbs. I am not including adverb clauses classification here. I am not including even prepositional phrases that, as you may remember, can also work as adverbs. So that's why this list is a little short. I am not saying either that every adverb, every one-word adverb can be classified in this list that I am showing you right here. Okay, so there's the disclaimer for you guys. Now let's talk about adverbs of manner. The adverbs of manner basically tell us how an action is done, right? They tell you how something happens, and they are placed after the verb, or if you have an object, after the object. Giovanni plays basketball well. Giovanni plays basketball well. It tells you how he does it. Again, I would recommend you don't use the word well so much. You could use, for example, effectively. Giovanni plays basketball furiously, or Giovanni plays basketball carefully. I don't know. Karina dances gracefully. It tells how she dances. JC coughed how? He coughed loudly. What for? To attract Alejandra's attention. Maritza accepted the court's ruling meekly. You know, like she accepted things, so it's how she did the action. So those are adverbs of manner. Adverbs of manner, they come from adjectives, right? Usually, not all of them, but usually adverbs of manner end in ly. We can recognize adverbs of manner in this way. I repeat, usually. Not all adverbs of manner end in ly, and not every adverb that ends in ly is an adverb of manner. Then we have adverbs of place. Adverbs of place obviously tell you where the action happens. And here are some examples. Forrest Gump ran where? Everywhere. My baby girl was born where? Here. The eggs will be safer where? Nowhere. I will take the platypus where? Outside. So here we have these adverbs. Yes, adverbs of place, they tell you where the action happens. Then we have adverbs of time, and adverbs of time tell you when or how long something happens. Adverbs of time can also establish a relation, they can also show or establish a relation in time. In this case, we call them indefinite adverbs of time, but we are not classifying them as this new class. We are not going to say that an adverb is an indefinite adverb of time. No, just simply say an adverb of time. Either if it tells you when or how long something happens, or if it establishes a relation in time, just classify it as an adverb of time. The night watchman came by when? Yesterday. Harold has already finished the project. Here we are establishing a relation in time. So this would be an indefinite adverb of time, but you can only say it's an adverb of time. No problem with this. Doris seems distracted lately. When does she seem distracted? Lately. She got to the line last. And so here we have some examples of adverbs of time. Next we have adverbs of frequency. They tell you how often, how frequently something happens, and they can also be classified as definite and indefinite adverbs of frequency, but I am not going to ask you to do this. Just simply say adverb of frequency. What is an indefinite adverb of frequency? An indefinite adverb of frequency is, for example, the word always, sometimes, rarely, almost always, almost never. Why do we call them indefinite adverbs of frequency? I would say that we call them like that because we don't have a common agreement on the meaning of these words. For example, if I say I almost never go to the beach, what is this almost never? For me, to go almost never to the beach might be to go once every year. But if for somebody else it might be to go once every 5 years, or maybe, you know, every 10 years. It depends. It's a very subjective thing. Well, anyway, here we have some examples. Nick usually arrives home after midnight. Viaina never travels to Ukraine. The Jordans visited the nursing home fortnightly. Fortnightly means every 15 days. We should play soccer weekly. Every week, right? Once every week. So in the book, in the material, you are going to find a longer list of these adverbs of frequency. But remember, the point is, even if the adverb is not there, you just need to think, how often does something happen? If the adverb that you are employing tells you how often something happens, then it's an adverb of frequency. Just so always think about what they do. It doesn't matter if they are not on the list. You have to think about what these adverbs do, and in that way you are going to be able to classify them properly. Then we have adverbs of certainty, which show how certain we are how certain we are of something. And examples of adverbs of certainty are obviously, surely, possibly, undoubtedly, probably, etc. So, Robert has probably left the airport by now. I'm not sure, but he probably has left. In the summit, you will certainly find the view astonishing. I am more certain of this, right? The Puritans surely suffered a lot when they arrived to America. I wasn't there, but I get the feeling, based on how the experience must have been like, how hard it must have been to move to a new place when you have no stores, no readily available food. It must have been very hard, right? They clearly need our help. It shows certainty about the action. Then we have adverbs of degree, which are words like very, to, quite, extremely, somewhat, etc. Dead can be an adverb of degree. We don't use it much in American English, but I put it there because I have seen it a couple of times, and I want you to know that dead can be used as an adverb of degree as well. I am dead serious about this. So here are some examples. That restaurant is so overpriced. In this case, I am using so to modify the adjective overpriced. This is too difficult. I am modifying the word difficult with it. Kunta Kinte was very scared when 4 men captured and enslaved him. Very scared. Herbert and Kurt work pretty hard at making money to pay their debts. Remember, adverbs of degree are going to be modifying either adjectives or adverbs. Then we have adverbs of negation and affirmation. They allow us to say yes or no. However, when we use yes and no individually, I mean by themselves, not in a sentence, we don't classify them as adverbs. Yes, I want to renew my license. An adverb of affirmation. I don't know where Manuel found the mobile phone. Not, in this case, is an adverb of negation. No, I didn't take your car. Here we have also again not acting as an adverb of negation. We are going to be missing conjunctive adverbs in the list because time has run out, but I will talk to you about them in the next video, guys. See you there.